Hello everyone! In this video, we'll go over the Vocabulary Workshop Level Orange Unit 6 words. You can follow along at home using your book. Let's get started! Our first word is blossom. Blossom is a noun, and a blossom is a flower or group of flowers, or the state or time of flowering. The example sentence says, "Roses in blossom sweeten the air." So when the roses are in blossom, when they are completely open like these here, they make the air smell sweeter. Have you ever smelled a rose when it's in blossom like this one? And blossom is also a flower, so I could say the cherry tree was covered in pink blossoms. So any flower, we can call it a blossom. Another example would be, bees buzzed around the blossoms looking for nectar. A synonym of blossom is a bloom or bud, and there are no antonyms for this word. Blossom can also be used as a verb, and it means to have or produce flowers. So when a plant is making flowers, or it can mean to develop, open up, or appear, and we'll talk about this more. The example says, parents can help a child's talent to blossom. So in this second definition, since blossom means to develop, it's the same as saying to make better. So a parent can make a child's talent better by helping them. For example, here, this child has a talent for the piano. She can play the piano well. But if her parent helps her, either by teaching her or by taking her to piano lessons, then she can help the child's talent blossom or become better, open up, or appear. So we can use this word blossom to talk about this when flowers open up or when something like a talent is getting better. Another example would be, her confidence blossomed during the school play. So maybe this girl is in a school play, and at first she was a little bit shy and scared to be in the play, but after a while her confidence blossomed. So she became better at it. She became more confident. So we're talking about the confidence developing or becoming better. Another example would be, friendships can blossom when we're kind to others. So when you are very kind to your friends, your friendship will develop. It will become better, or it will blossom. Some synonyms are to flourish and grow, and antonyms are wither and fade. Our next word is collide. Collide is a verb, and it means to strike against each other with force. And here strike means you are hitting something. Or it can be to clash, which is also to hit against something. The example says, small meteors sometimes collide with the moon. If you ever see pictures of the moon, then you can see all of these little holes or craters on the moon, and they're caused by small meteors or rocks crashing into the moon. So instead of saying they are crashing into the moon, we can use this word collide to talk about when something is hitting or crashing into something. Another example would be, two soccer players collided when they both went for the ball. So both of these players were trying to get the ball, and unfortunately they collided. They hit each other. Usually when something is colliding, it is by accident. Another example would be something like cars. I can say, the cars collided on the street by accident. So they hit each other on the street. Some synonyms of collide are to crash, slam, or to conflict, which would be like to fight. Antonyms are to avoid, evade, to agree, and settle. Have you ever been walking down a hallway and accidentally collided with something or someone because you were not paying attention? Our next word is constant. Constant is an adjective and it means never stopping, recurring, staying the same, loyal, and steady. So if something is constant, it happens again and again, it never stops, or it just always stays the same. So we can say it is staying the same. And let's look at the example sentence. City dwellers get used to the constant hum of traffic. So a city dweller is someone who lives in the city. And if you live in a city, then maybe you see a lot of traffic like in this picture. So the people who live in the city, they get used to the sound. And it is usually a constant sound. There's always the sound of traffic in the city because many people live there. Another example would be, there was a constant drip from the leaky faucet. Maybe this faucet is broken, so some water is dripping out, and it is a constant drip. It doesn't stop, it happens again and again. I could also say, the dog's barking was a constant noise in the neighborhood. So these dogs here just keep barking again and again. They never stop, or they always bark at the same time every day. So we can say it is constant. And finally, I could say the sun is a constant source of light and warmth for the earth. So the sun is always giving us light and warmth. Even if it's nighttime, the other side of the planet is getting that light. So I can say the sun is constant. It's always there. It's always giving us light. Some synonyms of constant are continuous, unchanging, and true. And antonyms are variable and fickle. And constant can also be used as a noun to talk about something that does not change or vary. Vary means become different, so it's always the same. For example, I could say, the need for food is a constant for all living things. So food is something that doesn't change for anything that is alive. We always need food. Even though the food is different, the need for food is always the same. Living things need food. I could also say, rain is a constant during springtime in our town. It's always raining a lot during springtime. That doesn't change every year. It stays the same. And looking at this example here, I can say, her love for animals has been a constant in her life. So when she was a little girl, and even now when she is an adult, her love for animals is the same. It stays the same, so I can call it a constant. Anything that stays the same over a long time or over a year, we can call it a constant. There are no synonyms or antonyms for constant when it's used as a noun. Our next word is content. And there are two ways that we can use this word. We can use it as an adjective, and later we'll talk about it as a noun. But it's important you know that the way they are said or their pronunciation is a little bit different. So when we are using it as an adjective, we often make the second part of this word a little bit stronger, or this is the part that we focus on when we say it. So I can say content. Tent is the part of the word that's being emphasized or a little bit louder, spoken louder when we speak. The meaning of this word is pleased with or accepting of, not wanting anything else. So when you are content, when someone feels content, they are peaceful and they are satisfied. They don't need anything else. So it's also kind of like saying they are happy. They are happy with what they have. For example, our neighbors are content with their new home. So in this sentence, the neighbors have a new home and they are content with it. They are happy with their new home. They don't want to change it. They don't need a different home. They are happy with this one. Another example would be, the boy felt content sitting quietly and reading a book under the tree. So he was calm, he was happy, he didn't need anything else, he was content. I could also say, he was content with his drawing and didn't want to change it. So the way that he drew the picture was fine with him. He didn't need to change it, it was okay the way that it was. And I could also say, I'm content with how my day went. So I'm happy with my day. I don't want to change anything that happened in my day. Some synonyms are satisfied and fulfilled. Antonyms are unhappy and restless. Now, when we use this word as a noun, the pronunciation changes. Instead of emphasizing the tent, we emphasize the con. So this part of the word, we say it a little bit stronger. It's now pronounced as content. Content. And content means an amount that is held or contained, and the meaning or subject of. Basically, what's inside of something is the content. It can be inside of a container or inside of a book. For example, the content of that book is too technical for me. So maybe someone is reading a book and the content or the things, the information inside of the book is too technical or basically too difficult for them. So that is content, something inside of something. Another example would be, she poured the contents of her bag on the table. So all of the things inside of her bag, she poured it out on the table. The things inside are called the content, or you can also put an S if it's more than one for contents. Another example would be, the bottle's content is grape juice. So the thing inside of this bottle is grape juice. A synonym of content is theme, and there are no antonyms for this word. So remember, we can pronounce content as content to talk about being happy, or content for things inside of something. Our next word is distract. Distract is a verb and it means to draw attention to something else. Cause to turn aside. To disturb. So when you distract someone, it is basically bothering them. They are doing something and you distract them from what they are doing. Basically, you make them stop paying attention. The example sentence says, try not to let the noise distract you. Have you ever been doing your homework and there's a lot of noise? Sometimes that noise can bother you or distract you from doing your work. Like here in this picture, she's trying to read a book, but if it's too noisy, then she might get distracted. Here in this picture, you can see the old man is talking with the dog, but suddenly the dog sees a squirrel and he gets distracted, so he looks away. This dog is distracted. I could also say, the driver was distracted by her phone and got into a car accident. So she wasn't paying attention because of the phone and she got in a car accident. She was distracted. Some synonyms of distract are to divert, sidetrack, or to bother. And antonyms are to focus and concentrate. Our next word is drought. Drought is a noun and it means a long time without rain or a prolonged shortage. Prolonged means something lasts for a long time. The example sentence says, farmers lost their entire crops because of the drought. So since drought is a long time without rain, it can cause the ground to dry up like this, and farmers might end up losing all of their crops. So this is a drought. Another example I could say is, the drought made the river dry up because there was no rain, so the river dried up from the heat of the sun. And since drought also means a long time without something or a prolonged shortage, We can also use it to talk about when you don't have enough of something, like ideas. For example, there was a drought of ideas and no one knew what to write. So if you are trying to do something and there's no ideas, you can also say it's a drought because you don't have something. But most often we use drought to talk about times without water or rain and times without food. Those are the ways that we use it most commonly. Some synonyms are dryness and a lack. And antonyms are a drenching, flood, a surplus, and glut. Our next word is foul. Foul is an adjective, and there's actually two other ways we can use it, as a noun and as a verb. But let's talk about the adjective first. It can mean unpleasant to the senses. So remember, your senses are your sight, your hearing, your smell, your taste, and your touch. So something that doesn't feel good when you smell it or eat it or touch it or hear it or even see it, you can describe it as being foul. It can also mean dirty or polluted, dishonorable, and stormy or rainy. And the last definition, against the rules of a sport or game, we'll talk about it later. Let's look at the example. The criminal was responsible for many foul deeds. Deeds are things that you do. So there was a criminal that did many bad things, so we can call them foul deeds. Another example would be, the pond water looked foul and full of trash. It looked very dirty or polluted. I could also say, there was a foul smell inside the room. Remember, foul is something that feels not good to your senses. So I can say there was a foul smell. And another example would be, we had to stay indoors because of the foul weather. Since foul can also be used to talk about stormy or rainy days, then I can say there was foul weather. Some synonyms are offensive and antonyms are clean and fair. We can also use foul as a noun to talk about a violation of the rules. Basically, someone broke the rules. Or a ball that goes outside boundary lines. Let's look at the example. The umpire ruled the ball was a foul. So in baseball, usually there are some lines that show you where the field ends. And if a player hits the ball outside of those lines, then it is called a foul because it's outside of the boundary lines where you can play the game. So it is foul. And since foul can also be breaking the rules, anytime that you do something that is against the rules, it can be called a foul. For example, the player got a foul for pushing someone. Or I can say she tried to steal the ball, but it was called a foul. It was against the rules. And we can also use foul as a verb in a similar way. This time it can be to pollute or make filthy, so to make something dirty, or to break the rules of a game, to hit a foul. The example says, leaky oil tanks can foul water and soil. So in this example, we're talking about something like this, where there are some oil tanks on something like a boat or even a car. And if it leaks or some of it escapes, then it can foul the water. It can pollute it, it can make it dirty. And foul as a verb, breaking the rules of a game, we could say something like, the player fouled his opponent by tripping him. So the player broke the rules and tripped the other person from the other team, so he fouled him. I could also say, be careful not to foul the air with smoke, because smoke is very dirty and smelly, so it can foul the air. So in that way, we can use foul as an adjective, as a noun, or as a verb. And one synonym of foul is to contaminate, or basically to make dirty. There are no antonyms for this word when it's being used as a verb. Our next word is noble. Noble can be used as an adjective or as a noun. And as an adjective, it means of high birth or rank, outstanding, of good moral character. So noble is a word that was used to describe people a long time ago. Basically people who are not just regular people, but they were high birth. So maybe they were related or family members of a king or a queen. Or they had a lot of money, they were very important people, so they were called noble. They were not just regular people, they were important people. One way I could use this word is in this sentence, the hero of the play is a noble lord. So if there was a play a long time ago, and the person who was being an actor in the play was a noble lord. It was someone who was important or born of a high rank. And usually these noble people lived in very big homes like castles. And noble as an adjective can also be used to describe someone who has good moral character, or someone who always does the right thing. They are very kind and brave. For example, I can say, the knight showed noble courage in battle. So the knight was very brave in the battle. He always did the right thing. He didn't do anything bad on purpose. So that way we can use this word noble, describing both people of high rank or someone who is brave and honorable. This word is not used often anymore because there are not many kings and queens or their family left in the world. It is used in some countries still to describe those people, but it's more often used to describe someone who has a good character. So I could say, helping someone in need is a noble act. Helping someone who needs help, like an old person or a homeless person, is something noble. It's very kind. Noble being used as a noun is someone of high rank or birth. So we already spoke about this previously. Someone who is maybe related to a king or queen or a very important person. The other example says, a commoner or a regular person may gain a title by marrying a noble. So if a regular person marries someone who is very important or has a high rank, then they might also become noble. They might get a title. Some synonyms are highborn, honorable, and an aristocrat. Antonyms are lowly. And you might see this word noble being used as a noun often if you're ever reading a book about history, since this is something that was more used in the past than today. Our next word is policy. Policy is a noun, and policy is a plan, set of rules, or way to act. A written insurance contract. So a policy is just a plan or set of rules about how to do something. For example, the store changed its refund policy. Have you ever bought something at a store and then decided that you didn't want to keep it, you wanted to return it back to the store? That's called a refund. And usually every store has a different policy or rules about when you can return those things or in what condition they have to be. For example, if you buy clothes and then you wear the clothes and get them dirty, then you can't return them to the store anymore. That is against the policy. But if you buy clothes and you never wore them, you just don't like them, then you can still return it to the store if it's inside of the policy. Usually stores will give you 30 or maybe just 15 days to return something. Another example of a policy might be no running in the hallways. Does your school have a no running policy? Or if you go to a library, there's usually a policy about how you have to return the books that you take from the library. So you might have to return them within 1 week or within 2 weeks. Every library has a different policy or different rules about how you have to do things. Some synonyms for policy are guidelines, procedures, a code, system, or practice. And there is no antonym for this word. The second use of the word policy, a written insurance contract. This is kind of like, let's say that your parents have a car and your car might have something like an insurance policy. So if the car gets in a car accident, then the insurance will pay some money to fix the car. We can call that a insurance policy or a contract. Basically, something that your parents pay just in case an accident happens. That's also called a policy. So people might have policies for things like their car, their house, and even their health. Most people have a health insurance policy that helps them if they get sick. So again, policy can be a set of rules about how to do things, or a written insurance contract that helps you pay for things in case of an accident. Our next word is quiver. Quiver can be used as a noun or as a verb, and it means a case used to hold arrows or a trembling motion. To shake or tremble. So when we're talking about it as a noun, it can be used to talk about this thing that looks like a bag, but it's actually used to hold arrows for people who are archers. So we call this case a quiver. And quiver can also mean a shaking motion or a trembling motion. Let's look at the examples. One arrow was left in the archer's quiver. This one here. Or you could say, when I am nervous, my hands quiver. Just like this video here, you can see the person's hands are shaking or quivering. I could also say, before I cry, my lips start to quiver or my lips start to shake. When we use it as a noun to talk about something that is shaking, a lot of time people will say the quiver of. So the quiver of something. For example, I might say the quiver of his hands made it difficult to hold cups without spilling water. And when it's being used as a verb, we just use quiver or we add ed if it's in the past tense. Or we could also add ing if it's happening right now. Like I could say, his hands are quivering. Some synonyms for this word are a sheath, a tremor, shiver, to shudder, and flutter. And there are no antonyms for this word. Our next word is slight. Slight is an adjective and it means small in size or degree, not much or not important. For example, there may be slight delays in train service. So remember, slight means a little bit. So the train might be a little bit late. I could also say, she had a slight cough, but felt okay. So maybe she was sick the week before, but now she's okay. She just has a little cough or a slight cough. Another example would be, there was a slight breeze blowing through the window. So it's not a very strong wind, it's not a strong breeze, it's just a little breeze or a slight breeze. And I could say he made a slight mistake on his test. The other questions were all correct, but there was just one mistake or one little mistake, so I can say it's a slight mistake. Some synonyms are slender and minor. Antonym is husky, which can mean something that is big. And slight can also be used as a verb and as a noun. As a verb, it means to treat as unimportant, to make light of. And as a verb, an act of neglect or discourtesy. Basically, when you slight someone, it means you are ignoring them. Or you pretend that someone doesn't matter or someone is not important. So slighting someone is not a good thing because nobody wants to feel ignored or like they don't matter. Let's look at the examples. A good host and hostess never slight their guests. So if you go to a restaurant, there are people there who are host and hostess that help take you to your seat. And a good hostess or host will never slight their guests. They will never pretend like the guests don't matter or like they are not there. The other example says, I apologize for the unintentional slight. So unintentional means something by accident. For example, if you are meeting your friend or a new friend that you have and you forgot their name, that might be an accident, but it still might make them feel like you slighted them. For example, I could say, she didn't mean to slight her classmate by forgetting his name. She didn't mean to ignore or pretend that the friend didn't matter. She just forgot his name. Another example would be, he felt hurt when his friends slighted him during the game. So his friends were playing a game and they ignored him or they pretended that he didn't matter. Maybe they pretend he wasn't there. So he felt very bad or sad and they slighted him. So we are using it as a verb here. Some synonyms of slight are to snub or as a noun, an insult. There are no antonyms for this word. Our last word is tidy. Tidy is an adjective and it can be neat and in good order or comfortable or large in amount. For example, I was surprised to receive a tidy reward. So in this sentence, someone got some money and they didn't expect that it was large in amount. They didn't expect that it was a lot of money. For example, let's say that you find a lost puppy and you take it back to its owner. Then, to thank you, the owner gives you a lot of money. So you didn't expect that money, so it was a tidy reward. It was a big reward that you were surprised to receive. You can also use this word to say that something is neat or clean. For example, I could say, she got a gift from her mom for keeping her room so tidy. So because her room was so neat and clean and tidy, then her mom gave her a gift. Or I could say, the garden looked tidy after we pulled all the weeds out. So here is the garden before they cleaned it up, and now after it looks so tidy. It looks neat and clean. Some synonyms are orderly and substantial. An antonym is messy. Tidy can also be used as a verb, so now it's the action of cleaning or organizing. The definition says to put things in neat or proper order. For example, be sure to tidy the room before you go. So here in this video, you can see the cat is tidying the living room. Or here you can see the mom is tidying the bedroom. She's cleaning up, she's organizing it, putting things back where they belong. All of those actions are tidy, and you can use it with ed, she tidied, or ing, tidying. Some synonyms are to neaten, and an antonym is to clutter. And that's all for this video. We went over the Vocabulary Workshop Level Orange Unit 6 words. Thank you so much for listening and see you next time. Bye!